Good morning. So I'm going to give you a little 10-minute video that are exercises that are completely safe for osteoporosis. We will be doing a workshop in the coming months to give you more information about osteopenia, osteoporosis, these conditions, what they mean for you, what they mean for you in your everyday life, how we can improve things um, through exercise. But let's get started with our feet parallel, hip distance apart, and we're just going to start to roll from heel to toe, toe to heel. You can lift your toes, you can lift your heels. A lot of these exercises you already know. Just putting them in a context for you that is safe for osteoporosis, osteopenia. And we can learn more about the difference between those conditions in the workshop, which will be advertised probably for April, May, whenever we're allowed to be back in person. Let's keep the ball of the foot anchored, and we're going to lift and lower the heels. So this exercise we do quite often in my classes. But I want you to start to put a little more weight in those heels and let your body sort of shock, a little bump as you're coming up and down. And you may find that, yeah, it kind of shakes your shoulders. As long as it feels fine in your knees, we'll keep doing that. If it doesn't feel great in your knees, if you have osteoarthritis, then you may want to make this movement a little more smooth, a little less bumping in the heels. You do what feels right for you. Good. Let's bend our knees and straighten our legs. And we'll bend our knees and straighten our legs. Let's keep our feet parallel, hip distance apart. And we're doing a little bow forward so that our spine stays nice and long. Good. And we can take the arms up and bring our arms forward. Bring the arms up and bring the arms forward. Let's reach forward, reach up, reach forward, reach up. We'll do that again. Breathing and tightening in your lower tummy when we bend our knees. Let's go with one more. And then we'll come back and we'll take our feet wide apart. And we're going to start to push off with one toe and then the other. One toe and then the other. The knees are straight. You can bring your hands down by your side if you like. And we're shifting our weight from one leg, pointing the toe, shifting to the other leg. And you may feel some muscles on the outside of the hips start to wake up. We're going to pivot our feet and start to rock forward and back. And you could even put your hands on the small of your back, and maybe you'll start to feel those muscles along your spine working. We do want to work these muscles. They're called your multifidi. They're like the hero muscles of your spine. Their job is to help keep the vertebrae in place, one on top of each other. And posture is so important for these bone conditions, osteopenia and osteoporosis. So any help that we can give to ourselves to have better posture will make life safer for you. It will make your bones safer because they'll be in a better position. Let's switch and we'll go from the other side. And again, you may even feel some of your glute muscle working, and that's great. Rocking forward and back. You may not feel anything at all along your spine, and that's totally fine. One side, one foot, and then the other. Good. And then we're going to come back. Let's come down to a kneeling position. And then we're going to come down and onto the floor. So with these conditions, it's very important that we don't do forward bending, quick twisting type motions. So we're going to get onto the floor by sitting our hips back. And then without doing a whole lot of bending, we're going to come down onto our side. There we go. Let's stay right here. Our feet are in line with our hips. Our belly is drawn in. Our elbow is directly under the shoulder. And we're going to give that rib cage just a little lift and back down and a little lift so that we're lifting into a neutral position. We can start to lift and lower the hips. So bottom side waist is working, but we're not side bending. We're staying as neutral as possible. Very nice. Let's put our hand down and you're going to come up without side bending. You're going to go over to the other side. So you almost want to start to move as though you cannot bend and you cannot twist. Maybe you can imagine that you've got yourself into a little brace. You're going to lift your rib cage up, let it come down and lift it up again. Hips go up and down. So this is a choice. If you have this hand to the ceiling, you can keep it to your hip. Tiny little movement, but we're in a nice neutral position. Your elbow is directly under your shoulder and you feel this bottom side waist working. Couple more. And then we're going to come up again. Let's take our legs out. You're going to sit as tall as you can. And we're going to think about taking the arms out in front. So oftentimes in our classes, we will go into a rounded spine to curl back. But with these conditions, we want to go with a flat back hinge and up. And it's actually really nice because your whole front side belly is working a lot more for you than when we go with a rounded spine. And it's safer for you. Flat back hinge. Flat back hinge. Flat back hinge. Good. How are we going to get down to the floor? We want to go down on our back now. Let's move our hands. We're going to come over, down to the floor, and then we're going to turn legs, pelvis, and become in our supine position on our back. Let's have our feet and knees hip distance apart. We'll press down in both feet and lift those hips, but just a half an inch, and then back down. So your skin barely leaves the floor. Pressing down in both feet, you'll feel your glute muscles engage and we'll lift the hips and then come back down. So everything in moderation when we come to how we move our spine. Let's press down in both feet and we'll lift the hips. We'll stay right here. I want you to pull your shoulders down and back. Press your shoulders into the floor, the muscles between the shoulder blades, and then release that. You can keep your hips lifted. So we're just barely skimming the floor here with the hips. Press down in the shoulders, the arms, and then release. Press down in the shoulders and the arms, and release. Let's do that again. Press down in shoulders and arms. Couple more times. Let's press down. So it's not like you're sliding shoulder blades together, but more that you're trying to anchor those shoulder blades into the earth, and let's hold it there. You're going to continue to press down through the shoulders, down into the shoulder blades, and feel the muscles working around the back of the upper body. These are muscles that we want to strengthen. And we'll release that, press down again. You may be starting to feel your glute muscles at this point also. And then we're going to come down. Let's come up to a kneeling position. So we're going to go knees over to the side, churning like a log, pressing down with that hand. You're coming up and you're making as minimal movement as possible, side bending. Let's just spend a couple of minutes on rotation. So we want to, again, line our spine up so it's in its ideal neutral position. So maybe you want to sit on a block or a towel to be a little more upright. We're going to cross the hands across the chest. And we're just going to start to rotate. So we do a lot of rotation in our regular group classes. We need to learn to rotate well when you have the condition of osteopenia or osteoporosis. So it's a micro movement. And the reality is that we do a lot of rotation, a lot of bending, side bending, forward bending when we are living our everyday lives. So it's important to learn how to do these movements well when we have bone conditions such as osteopenia, osteoporosis. So I hope that you'll join me for the workshop in a couple of months, and we'll learn more. We will go into the anatomy of these conditions. We'll go into how to safely modify exercises for you, how to safely modify movements in your everyday life. And yeah, I hope to see you then.